Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Roots, where we tell the stories behind your favorite beer. This is Sound Guy Ryan, and joining me as always is Erica and Matt.
That's right. We are at a super secret location, and we're all together.
What a concept.
Dun, dun.
What super secret? I had one beer. This is a problem. I actually
doing this again.
I didn't intentionally mess up. I was like, I'm going to do this perfectly because we did this already once again. But
Right, but as we said earlier as well, words are hard.
Words are hard, and beer doesn't help that.
Yep.
Erica, where are we?
We are at Tilton Brothers.
And we're here actually with the Tilton Brothers.
The brothers.
Brothers Tilton.
Brothers Tilton.
Why don't you introduce yourselves? Because I screwed up the names the first time, so it's better if I just get reaffirmed.
So my name's Ben, and I'm Dave.
Cool.
Got it.
Well, we're talking about beer today, and we're talking about all things Tilton. But before we do that, our intros are crazy, so you're going to just have to be along for the ride. So, what did you drink this weekend?
Too much.
Too much? You had your,
Solid.
so by the time this gets recorded, it will be past when you had your Oktoberfest. So you had your
Yes.
Oktoberfest this weekend, but people can reminisce to the best time of the year in November when we're talking about this, and we're getting those winter ales and all
Yes.
that bullshit. But
Yes.
So besides that, I had some really nice local hard seltzer up in Portland, courtesy of friends of ours who opened a spot called Apri. It's right on the Bayside area that you guys are probably familiar with, next to Rising Tide and Austin Street.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic, like cocktail inspired, locally foraged type of thing. So we had a cucumber, and I had a cucumber cantaloupe seltzer, and a fantastic like pine Ricky, kind of like a lime Ricky inspired seltzer with
that's
like
cool.
Maine pine and lime, and it was really good. That's not normally what I reach for, but they're doing an awesome job, and it's a beautiful spot up there. So that's my plug.
As a recovering
Fun.
seltzer adder. That's
It would be a little too easy to get back in.
yeah, I love them. I love them. Sorry, everyone.
Well, my selection was a little less interesting, I guess, but I did get into our fest beer quite a bit over the weekend. I mean,
I just got into that
the
right
season.
now, and I could have like 5 more. But
Oh, yeah. It's really good.
yes,
I enjoyed that. Additionally, my dad cracked open a bottle of Spencer Abbey Russian Imperial Stout,
Ooh.
just kind of on a whim. He might have
Just for
even
fun.
done it by
just for
mistake. I don't know, but we ended up drinking that, really enjoying that. I mean, big roasty. I mean, that was a nice little change up from the fest beer.
yes.
Love it.
It's funny. I just cracked open a barrel aged like bottle this weekend by mistake too, because I was like, this will be fun to.
And then you have like a 12 ounce, not even 8 ounces. And you're
Oh, I
like,
drank the whole thing. I
my God.
was completely fucked up.
Mistakes were made. Or
Yeah.
not. I don't know.
One of my friends came over one weekend and opened up my Mont the Lesser, and I was like,
That's the one I drank.
Are
So
you guys still friends?
yeah.
Nah,
At least it wasn't that. At least it wasn't like a Kate the Great. Like it was just Mont Lesser. You can get.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Both great.
that's a good point.
Yeah. Erica, what did you drink this weekend?
I never know what I drink. Whatever's in my beer fridge.
Yeah.
Definitely fest beer season. I recently went to Remnant's Oktoberfest. I think that was last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what I drank.
Yeah.
I
I
drank
love
fest
Remnant.
beer at Remnant. It
and
was
you had
amazing.
also Riverwalk's Oktoberfest.
I
too.
did. I stopped there one night after recording and had their Oktoberfest, and that was also really good. I definitely recommend stopping there for their fest beer. And they have great food. I got their garlic knots. Freaking delicious. Garlic knots are just always a great go-to.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I went to Flatbird Company and someone thought I was
You did.
Yeah, they thought I was a podcast of trains. They thought I ran a train podcast. That's how I was recognized.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either. I'm telling you for the first time over the air. But
So
the waitress,
confused.
who was a sweetheart, we told her, follow the podcast. We're going to talk about you this week.
Choo choo.
She thought I ran a train podcast, which sounds really lame, but awesome at the same
Also
time.
awesome. Then that can be fun.
Did you just go along with it?
No, because I couldn't. I was like, I was a dirty martini deep, and I was like, I can't even
Those are
lie
the best
about
times
this.
to make up stories about trains.
Yeah. So follow my podcast, Thomas and the Podcasters. Choo choo.
Yes.
That's great.
Trademarks, hashtag trademark. But yeah, I drank Life on Marzen by Berkshire.
So that won our Oktoberfest like a few years ago.
Yeah, it's a great
Remember
one.
that? We did
Yeah,
that? That was
it's
pretty good.
That was
We
the
did
best
that one.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, I have 2 aging fest beers from Sylvaticus that we have to try. You guys can come and try with us too. You want to?
Always down.
That sounds
All right,
great.
sounds
Perfect.
cool. Yeah, we have a
Cool.
2019 and 2020, and I think we have a 2021 that we'll crack open in a year. You guys are invited.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
So if you want to continue to get awesome episodes like this one, or maybe you heard our Trillium episode, or maybe you even heard our episode with, The Alchemist. I don't know.
I was gonna say
Sam Adams.
no. I was gonna say I keep on saying caveman. It's not caveman.
Or Stone Man.
Stoneman.
Yeah, Stone Man's awesome.
That's a classic episode.
The only reason we can get awesome episodes like that is our amazing listeners. So tell your friends that you heard the podcast. Give us a shout out on social media, or write a letter to your friend and say that the Brewers podcast is the best, and then take a picture of it and send it to me, because that'd be awesome if you spend some postage. I'll reimburse the postage if you do
Why
it.
not?
But yeah, follow us on Patreon. Ryan, what's our Patreon?
www.patreon.com/Brewers Podcast.
Awesome. So for all the people who +15, stop +15ing right now.
Stop it.
We are in the meat and potatoes of our episode.
It's happening.
So
Dun, dun, dun.
we start every podcast by asking our guests their first memory of beer. And
Your role at the brewery.
yeah,
Woohoo!
First memory of beer.
come on, Tilton Brothers, impress us.
Ours might actually be shared. We are brothers.
Are you
that's a good
twins or no?
No.
Okay.
I'm a couple
People
years
ask you.
older than
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah. Ooh.
We grew up with parents that cherished a good beer. And
Nice.
my earliest memories are just around the dinner table. They would pour something, and naturally you have that kid's curiosity. You want to be the grown up, no, you shouldn't. Eventually I think they, allowed our interest to kind of influence them into giving us a little sip here and there just to experience it when we were old enough. I don't know how old. And I just remember all those times, like just sitting with them, enjoying, a nice home cooked meal, and all those moments with family. So it's very fond memories, those first memories of beer.
Do you recall ever wanting to just drink the foam? That was like a very stuck in my memory thing. Like I just wanted to drink the foam.
Because soda.
I don't know. It was just
Feeling
awesome.
about
It's like
it.
my dad would let me drink just the foam. I don't know if that was
Yeah,
something.
I think I definitely had that, mindset too. Just thinking back on it, like the taste of foam, because it was harmless, but it looks so good for some reason. You want the foam.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of foam, I think my memories, it's pretty close to Dave's, but the first time our dad attempted home brewing, or one of the first.
Oh, yeah,
And,
one
so
of those
my-
dads too. Yeah.
So yeah, we come by it honestly, but
Yeah.
my first memory is more like a smell, and the smell of wort, like boiling wort,
Oh, that's
Good
cool.
smell. Yeah.
and that unmistakable kind of bready. It must have been some kind of brown ale or something. It had that molassesy smell, and I think it overflowed on the.
Destroyed the stove.
Sorry, Dad. I know. Yeah, just definitely more related to a smell. But yeah, that was my first memory of beer. Besides, Dave's what Dave shared.
He wasn't allowed to use the stove after that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was his last time.
I've heard those
brewing,
stories.
possibly,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Dave and I kept going after.
Classic late 80s, early 90s,
Yeah.
brown ale. That's
Yeah.
my beer.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I'm gonna do a double IPA, and I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
to,
that's what it is
Or I'm gonna do a
nowadays.
lager and try to decoct at home. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Just brew a brown ale.
It was probably a clone of what was that? The moose slobber or something?
Yeah, I know.
way back or something like that.
Ish.
Because this is early '90s probably.
Yeah. And then your roles at the brewery.
So I am the head brewer, and I'm actually the only brewer. Right.
Congrats.
So I need to toss the head into there, but I'm also we wear many hats. So anyone who knows us or is learning about us now will get that sense. But I also do packaging and planning the beer and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm
Fixing the canning line, I heard.
fixing the canning line like today. Yep, exactly. So packaging, brewing, cleaning, all the things that are down and dirty in
Yeah.
the brew house are pretty much my role. So.
And if it's not directly production related, then there's a chance that I'm involved with it in some capacity. Like Ben said, wearing many hats. So that could include anything from coordinating with Ben on all of our can art and those labels. I get to work with our designer, Emily, which is a lot of fun.
You've got great can art, by the way. I just have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, yeah, that part of the job is enjoyable.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, on the other end, I'm working with Jeff, who is our taproom manager and our salesperson, to help track our local distribution, and the list goes on. But I am in both a guiding and supporting role with a lot of our operations.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm really appreciative that you mentioned like the really cool parts of brewing, and then you were like, "Oh, these parts aren't as cool, but we still
I
have
do
to
them
do them,
too."
right?"
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of times, like everyone romanticizes brewing. Like you can see this awesome Instagram post, but you don't know what actually goes into brewing. So it kind of leads me into my next question: what is the most like behind the scenes part of brewing that people just don't understand or take for granted?
Wow, that is a good question.
Dang. Yeah,
Just
feeling
thought of it actually.
I mean, I think, for me, and I don't want to speak for Dave, but for me, in my position, it's a lot of planning. And, for us specifically at our stage right now, we do a lot of different beers. And that's, part of our plan going into this operation.
Because you guys are relatively new. What, 2 or 3 years?
We're less than 3 years.
Yeah.
We're about 2.5.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but we've made over 90 unique beers since
Wow.
we opened, and it's
That's a decent amount.
Yeah, it's a few. And so I'm not giving myself any breaks, but we've continued to make new styles all the time. And so because we've chosen that road, it's a lot of planning from start to finish, sourcing materials, sourcing ingredients, all the way through packaging. And I'm at that unique position where I see all of the steps because I'm, from start to finish. So just getting it into a glass, it's kind of incredible to see that journey. And then we're selling it so fast that I barely notice when it's gone.
I get one glass.
I tried. I'm like, I think I tried that one.
I know.
People are like, "Oh, I loved this one." I was like, "That was forever ago." And they're like, "No, dude, you had that on tap like last weekend." I'm like, "Oh, well, it's gone."
it's gone.
I didn't
10 beers
try
have
it,
come out since
so.
But no,
then.
it's funny. I heard you mention, like, we were talking off air, and I was like, I just want your fest beer. And, like, he was like, oh, all right, cool. Yeah, we can have that. And I saw, like, on your board, you're like, we're doing can pour as a fest beer. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to ask for another fest beer. I want someone out in the wild to be like,
Yeah.
this is a fucking awesome beer, because it really was.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's my, just the start to finish nature of my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I would say that what often goes unseen or unknown is just how many people go into making a brewery work.
Yeah. An ecosystem for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. I think when we were starting up, we definitely underestimated just how many people would be doing how many different things just to make everything happen. Once Ben is our only brewer, and he's making fantastic beer regularly, but I think we had no idea just the kind of supporting cast that we would need all around us all the time to make things work. And we're very fortunate to have the team that we have right now. They're all fantastic individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
true.
We're definitely going to get into those fantastic individuals, because I've firsthand met, I think, most of your staff here, and they're awesome. But I want to know what you did in a previous life to set you up for success to run a brewery, or maybe not set you up for success. So let us know.
Well,
Or what are you still doing?
Yeah, right.
our story, Dave and our story kind of like coincides at a certain point. But before we start,
Just not because you're brothers.
No, yeah, I'm talking strictly professional.
Yeah.
Before we started home brewing, which I'm sure Dave could talk about, I worked I actually kind of stumbled into the bar and restaurant industry when I went down to DC for a couple of years just to get out of here, and kind of discovered like a reinvigorated love for beer. It was kind of not at the beginning of like craft beer, but it was definitely like during the growth phases, and lots of breweries were popping up. So that was really inspiring, and basically from there started home brewing, and worked at a brewery briefly and got my feet wet, literally and figuratively. And
What brewery? Just shout them out.
Blue Jacket
Cool.
Brewery in DC.
DC, yeah.
Amazing people and amazing brewing operation, like one of the most beautiful breweries I've seen. I'm jealous. But yeah, so those moments kind of got me into that mindset. And then that's kind of when Dave and I started thinking about beer more seriously and home brewing together. So even though we talked about our dad being the kind of foundation for that, that was really kind of the crystallizing moment, you know, when I was in my early 20s and starting to learn more about it and researching and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so when Ben was working at Blue Jacket, I was doing remote work at the time, IT-related stuff.
How 2021 of you.
I was gonna say, wow.
Yeah, ahead of the curve there.
Dave's way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So my now fiance and I followed Ben down to DC. I think that was in 2014, and yeah, we definitely embraced the idea that hey, maybe we could make this happen someday. It was definitely a daydream then, and I think it had been even before then. I'd mentioned our family's love of beer.
Yeah.
We'd always, thought about, hey, wouldn't that be cool if we someday had a brewery? So I was in DC with Ben, and I think that we homebrewed in our tiny apartment once or twice.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been the first time that we homebrewed together.
And you lost
Yeah, I
your
think so.
security deposit there.
Yeah.
That was close. That was a close one.
Yeah, actually, maybe the first time we brewed, we made kind of like a holiday ale.
Yep.
And we were dead set on bringing it back to New Hampshire for the holidays.
Cool.
So we loaded up a carry-on bag. We wrapped, and these were 22-ounce bottles. We wrapped them
Classic
individually
bottles.
in bubble wrap.
Yes.
Right. We loaded this bag up, and then we realized, oh no, this is probably going to cost us a fortune because it's way too heavy. So we're wandering around down the hallway in our apartment building, knocking on neighbors' doors that we'd never spoken to before and asking if we could use their scale just to know how much this bag was going to weigh and cost us to get home.
Oh my
anyway,
God.
Yeah,
For those who don't know, back in 2014, shipping a bomber was a pain in the ass because they always broke.
Right.
I guess the story ended well though because we got every bottle back home
Wow.
intact and
Cool.
shared.
Congrats.
Yeah, so that was a
That's
little
impressive
victory.
on an airline.
So that was the start of our home brewing together, and it
Yep.
only grew from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you realize that homebrewing was less of like a hobby and more of like a career path?
A good question. I mean, I feel like it was maybe a year or two after that. Would you agree? Like,
Yes.
sometimes
Yeah, I
around
think
2015 or 16.
Yeah, I think around 2015 might have been the year that we decided like, okay, let's really make a go at this. Let's turn this into a second job. That's when we really got into a regular schedule with brewing. Ben really took on, the recipe creation aspect of it in a big way. Started learning a lot. And I was there just trying to make everything happen logistically for us with our little homebrew setup.
Yeah.
We treated it, as a second job. We were there nights and weekends.
Yeah. Double brew days even back.
Holy shit. Yeah.
We really we went hard on it.
That is hard.
And that, it was all for sharing with friends and family.
Yeah.
really.
Just to have a good time.
Yeah, we were
Definitely.
just making bottles and kegs for so-and-so is having a birthday, like let's plan.
Let's make him a keg.
Yeah, let's make a beer for him. And it started out like that, and then I think we kind of wanted to carry on that mentality. And,
Yeah.
and it's really hard to do, when you go commercial, but we've kind of continued that. And not to get too ahead, but, we have a mug club here, and we
Ryan's
actually-
trying to get a part of that. He's
Yeah.
there, so.
What the fine, we'll make that happen.
We're gonna get you in there.
But we actually, we have part of the rewards are like you can, if you get enough mugs, like we'll make you a beer. Like we'll make a beer based on your name and your design. And so we've kind of continued that like little
That's awesome.
like this is about us and
Yeah.
the community and like the friends that we've made here. So we've made, I think, I actually have one in the tank. We've made 3 so far.
That's cool.
For mug members, including a Irish Red, a Hefeweizen, and I have a cranberry orange sour in
Ooh.
the tank right now.
That's awesome. That is like,
Delish.
Talk about perks, right?
yeah, no kidding.
Let me plug the perks.
How many mugs?
Let's talk mugs
you
here.
don't-
500, right?
500.
500.
Yeah.
Ryan could do it.
You can do it.
Challenge
I
accepted.
have a feeling.
One weekend.
We've had as of today, I think we've had five members who have achieved that.
Yeah.
That's really
awesome.
cool, though.
Someday I'm going to be way behind, and there's going to be people waiting for that
Right.
beer forever. But
Yeah.
Yep.
those few people that came out and supported us, they're getting in on it early. So
For sure.
Cool.
So I would actually just quick question about, like you said, learning a lot. Education wise, did you take any classes, or was this all just reading tons of books, or how did you learn to do what you're doing now?
No formal education. There was a time when I felt the pressure and the lack of confidence, and I felt like I needed to. And I'm not saying education is a bad idea at all. But for me, it just was unrealistic, and
right.
So I did my
Good
best.
for you for knowing that. No, seriously, because I think a lot of people struggle with that same dilemma, and they don't take advantage. They just go with the path. So good for you for knowing that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it was definitely a stressful kind of consideration on both sides of it, and a lot of money spent and all that. And so I just tried to come to terms with that, and read as much as I could and learned as much as I could. I'm not a traditional beer nerd. I have a lot to learn, but I do love learning about it. I don't come from a science background.
Right.
Quite the opposite. Come from a humanities background. So for me, it's a learning. It's a passion that I like to learn about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So before we get into the area here, when you moved back, because I think there was only like one other brewery in the area at the time when you moved back. Our friends over at Throwback, I think, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we're going to take a quick word from our sponsors. We're going to drink the rest of this beer, and it's going to get a little weird. Take it away, sound guy Ryan.
Did you know that your favorite Massachusetts breweries use hops from a local family-owned hop farm right here in Massachusetts?
Our friends over at 4 Star Farms are there for you whether you're a commercial brewery or a small batch home brewer.
Make sure to head over to their website today and get your hands on some of the best and freshest hops available locally. Cheers.
At our local homebrew shop, Beer and Wine Hobby, you can get everything you need to make beer, wine, cider, cheese, and more. Not sure where to start? They have knowledgeable staff there to help. Beer and Wine Hobby is family-owned and located in Danvers, Massachusetts. Visit their website, beer-wine.com, and use our promo code BREWROOTS for 10% off your online order today.
Shirts on Tap is the box subscription service for craft beer lovers. Each month, Shirts on Tap partners up with 7 different breweries from across the country and collaborates on a sweet custom shirt design. We've been teamed up with Shirts on Tap since the inception of the podcast and are proud to announce a new promo code for all of our listeners. To get your first shirt for $5 off, go to the link in our description below and use the promo code. And remember, drink better beer, wear better shirts. So you mentioned coming back to the area and community brewing for people's parties, what have you. This area isn't well known for breweries at its current state even today. So when you came back, there was even less. I think our friends over at Throwback, which we mentioned just previously, kind of were the only people in town outside of, like Smutty Nose and so on and so forth. But is that what kind of drew you to brew, to not brew, but to have a space kind of like this, or what was it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember Throwback in its original location. I remember Earth Eagle when they opened.
Yeah.
They had the tiny little tap room there.
Gruitz, yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's all very charming. I mean, I think when you see breweries opening like that, it kind of gives you a little bit of confidence, not because of the beer that they're producing, because they were doing a great job, but just how casual it can be.
Yeah.
It's all, you kind of start to realize it's all about the people behind the project, right? And then the power of beer itself, as a way to draw people in and get people interested. I think that when you see smaller operations like that, definitely makes you feel like you could get involved with the right amount of work.
Yeah.
So I mean, we loved going to those places when they opened. That was so much fun. We'd be checking out what tanks they had, and of course, like the variety on tap, and we'd be talking about the beer a lot. So that became something that we do pretty regularly when we were back in this area.
Yeah, and I think that just like when we were planning our, when we got serious and we're looking for a spot, we were just looking for a place to go. Like we knew we wanted to be in the Seacoast.
Yep.
Because we wanted to, like you had mentioned, like this was home, and we wanted it to work somewhere nearby. And we were thinking about, obviously you try to strategize. I think of it in a business sense, but quite honestly, this spot popped up for us after we had been looking quite a bit. Just like anybody, Portsmouth was like high on our list, but became a little unrealistic. And we thought Dover, Newmarket would be amazing, but this kind of just came up out of the blue, and we had been looking, and we jumped on it.
It blows my mind, not to interrupt, that like the Portsmouth area doesn't have more breweries in Portsmouth, like downtown area. You have Liar's Bench, you have Loaded Question outside of Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Like it's like, what the fuck? Why are the city planners so like, come on?
No, it's like all hotels and
Yeah, it
it's
is
popping up, and
Yeah.
it's changing. I mean, it's changed. Anyone who has lived around here knows, and Dave lives there, but it changes very quickly, like
Yeah.
year to year. And it's definitely a different town now. And
Definitely.
we knew we weren't going to find a spot that was there for us, and we didn't have the biggest budget in the world, and we were trying to be responsible, and this came pretty much turnkey, so it was hard to argue with.
Yeah.
For sure.
So talk about the space that we're here. We're sitting in a tap room. You kind of have the German styles tables where everyone can enjoy each other's presence, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
And then you have the traditional bar setup where people can kind of just sit down and shoot the shit. I've been here and shot the shit with your bartenders plenty of times. But tell us about what you're brewing on out back.
Nice. So, speak of the back area. So right now we have 3.5 barrel system. So we're quite small. We do have an expansion planned, so that I can at least not double batch anymore, at least not right away. And start filling tanks equal to the size of our mash tun and kettle. I'm excited about that. So we have 4 tanks, so I'm rotating between those quite often. And like I've said earlier, we make all styles. And that's kind of my world. And Dave definitely focuses more on the taproom experience and the aesthetics out here. So I'll let him talk about the thought behind that.
Yeah, well, we mentioned community before. I mean, one thing we love about beer is that it brings people together, and we wanted to have a tap room that, even if it was on the small side, that we would have some varied seating, that people would feel like they could come here and gather and be together and enjoy time with each other. But I personally really am a fan of just having everything from kind of like the corner booth to the bar experience to the kind of communal table where we're sitting at the moment, and how that kind of plays into giving everyone the experience that they want to have when they come in here. I think it kind of goes side by side with our philosophy, getting back to our home brewing days, which was that we wanted to brew a full spectrum of styles. Despite being small, wanted to have a beer for everyone. Whether you like IPAs or stouts or sours or lagers, you come in the door and we'll find something for you. Yeah. I think that the tap room is designed in a similar way. You kind of like create your own experience here. I'll just point out the mural that's behind us as well here. We knew that we wanted something fun, a little like splash of color in here. So our designer, Emily, created the art for that. My fiance, Steph, and her mom, Lisa, actually put it up on the wall for us painstakingly.
Oh my gosh.
And
But like
is
a projector,
beautiful.
or how did they do it?
yeah, they gridded it out, and then I think they illustrated it, and then slowly painted it.
Looks great.
Yeah, it does. It's
Yeah.
really nice. I also really love your back wall, the wall behind the bar, I guess.
Yeah.
You get all kinds of fun things there. You have like, I don't know, like puzzles, like not puzzles, but like
Math equations.
Yeah.
We like
Yeah,
to challenge people.
right,
when they've had a
right.
couple
Yeah.
beers.
Should we just
And-
pose the question? If Teresa's daughter is my daughter's mother, what am I to Teresa?
Answer correctly for your chance to win.
A beer.
A high
We'll send you a
five.
beer. Yeah, we'll send you a beer.
Nice.
And a sticker.
I also love that you are interested in stories about dragons.
Yes.
So
We want to know
noted.
about allergies.
Allergies and
More stories
dragons.
about dragons.
Yeah.
So just a true community space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Oh,
Definitely.
And I guess we should point out that all that fun stuff there is courtesy of our taproom manager, Jeff.
You rock, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's the
Come say
man.
hi to
He
Jeff.
always has something good going on. But the tie wall itself, we have to give kudos to our the third owner of the brewery, Joe.
Third owner?
Yes, there's indeed. He's the unofficial Tilton brother.
Mystery.
Unofficial. Darn. Okay. Cool.
And
cool.
and Joe actually put up that tile wall himself.
Good on you, Joe.
And,
Yeah.
I think he did it
It's nice.
in a weekend, which is
Good for
impressive.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you mentioned your dad a couple of times. It's not often that sons kind of start the business and then their dad follows through. I mean, if you go on the highway, you always see like O'Shea and Sons or like Victoria and Daughters. It's like, all right, yes, but you brought your dad into the fold. What was that just like a no-brainer? Like, Dad, come work with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, this was kind of for him like a lifelong love, of beer, and he introduced it to us, and just like you said, bringing him into the fold just made a lot of sense. He's one of the hardest working people I know. He puts me to shame. He'll probably be here after we leave, mopping the floor or whatever. But, he's just been an inspiration for us, and we want to kind of make him a part of this whole project. So he helps me with everything from cleaning kegs to filling kegs to packaging days, wherever he's needed. So he's awesome like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you've really brought your family into this. I think that's
Yeah,
really
I think
cool.
he's. We have to credit him with our initial kind of inspiration.
Right, yeah,
year.
of course.
Exactly.
And so it's just great that all these years later, here we are, operating our own place, and he can be a part of that.
Coming
Yeah.
right back around.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
It's awesome.
We've talked about the tap room. We've talked about the beer. You guys have awesome food too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the food a little bit. What are you offering up? I know it rotates every week. I've seen crazy like short ribs. I've seen chicken sandos. I've seen dumplings. I've seen soup.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on. I love it. I love it all.
Yeah. So first off, we have the great fortune of having Ashley, aka the beer mama.
You
Oh,
might have
yeah.
heard of her. Yep.
Our chef here, and she has taken things to the next level food-wise for us. Absolutely, she's incredibly creative. She's got a lot of ambition, and it shows because every week she's releasing a new menu.
Yeah. The pickles that you guys do here, I don't know. Like, she must put like crack in them. I don't think you actually put crack in them, but they are addicting and they're so
We're
good.
not giving you any of our
Yeah,
secrets.
don't give
Yeah,
us
right.
a secret, but they are so good. Yeah.
But yeah, Ashley, she works her ass off, and we've just really enjoyed seeing all these fun menu items pop up week after week. Typically, you can find some sort of burger on the menu. We always have those pickles,
Yep.
and a dessert. Otherwise she'll mix it up. You know,
Yeah.
she likes to do a lot of seafood, a lot of Asian-inspired dishes. Consistent with our small brewery, big variety kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Did the food come as a result of COVID, or did that come? Was that always in the plan? Because you guys didn't always have food.
No, we had like a very basic menu that was
Yeah.
kind of catered to like a
Pub
beer
style.
snack.
Yeah.
Like we obviously wanted quality, but we're limited by the space that we have back there. But no, I think there was just a realization that we had a lot of opportunity in that kind of sector, and we just decided to kind of invest in it a little bit. And it was about finding the right person that wouldn't look at our little space and like, you can't
No.
do anything back here. Yeah, basically no. But see it and get and be inspired. And it just was kind of spontaneous, but it happened to be her. She's like very creative and boundless energy, and looked at it as a challenge, not to be beaten, not something like I'm not going to be able to do this. So I'm still amazed what she's able to put out.
Yeah.
Back there, I thought it was destined for grilled cheese like the rest of our time here.
Grilled cheeses and hot dogs. Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, she's making like octopus tacos and like pasta dishes, and I was like, I don't know how you do it, but
Keep on doing it. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
doing it.
Octopus tacos.
They're so good, Ryan. Don't
I
even
know.
knock it.
No,
It was
I know
amazing.
they are. Just like there's not a lot of people who do those.
We were a little worried. I will speak for myself. Yeah, I was a little worried when I saw some of the menu items come out, and not because I don't like them, but simply because I was like, I don't know if our clientele is gonna go for something
like,
this
embrace that,
adventurous.
yeah,
No
yeah.
offense, guys.
Yeah.
But they were the fastest thing to sell out were these like interesting takes on tacos and
That's
dishes and
awesome.
stuff, and yeah, it blew my mind. So good on you.
If you were to describe the Seacoast beer scene in a couple words, like how would you describe it?
Burgeoning, is that a great word? I've been wanting to say that word.
Yeah.
I think
Can you use it
Just
in
said it. This is great.
how
use it in a
powerful is
sentence,
that?
please, and spell it out.
It's a great, yeah. B-U-R. No. I think that there's so much room for more attention for some of the great breweries in our area.
Agreed.
And we're kind of passed over, and that's not so much to say that you're wrong for going right to Maine or Vermont, but it's to say that like, hey, we have some amazing breweries here that are doing interesting things and making high quality products.
sure.
And they've been here for a while, but we're not flashy, and I think that I don't want to speak for everybody, but there's a lot of opportunity for growth and more visibility. So I think that we're on the right track, and I think New Hampshire is starting to become more of a destination, and people aren't simply passing over us.
Going
And
right
I
to
hope
Portland.
that, yeah, exactly. And God, I love Portland.
Right,
same.
of
Like,
course.
yeah,
We all love
traditional New
it.
England beer
Right,
towns.
right.
Yeah.
But I think there's reasons to come here now, and there always have been, but even more reasons. And it's exciting to be a part of it,
Yeah.
and to see what great neighbors we have and learn from them and work together. And COVID kind of dampened that, but I'm excited to do like brew festivals again and kind of feel that collaboration that's so important in this industry.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
Well, before we get into collaborations, because I'm curious to see if you have any plans for collaboration with other breweries, take it away, Sound Guy Ryan. Our sponsors need us.
Are you a solo artist, band, podcaster, or anyone else who needs recording services?
Well, we got a place for you where your vision can become a reality.
Welcome to Small Pond Studios, built by hand with heart and sweat equity by musicians for musicians.
Go to smallpondstudios.io to reach out to get more information. And make sure you let them know that Brute sent you. Hey, Sound Guy Ryan here. Didn't know if you heard, but we're a part of the Hopped Up Network. There you'll find other informative podcasts about beer. So go ahead, follow them on social media, and visit them on their website, hoppedupnetwork.com, to learn more about the people, beer, and breweries from around the country. And until next time, thanks for listening. Cheers.
All right, so we mentioned before, we were talking about collaborations. I'm not familiar with many collaborations that you've done, but I'm sure you have done some in the past. Talk about some of them and any plans for collaborations in the future.
sure, yeah. We don't have anything in the books right now.
That's okay.
But I think as we kind of hopefully break out of this COVID thing,
Knock on wood.
yes, I'll definitely be looking to spread out again. We've had some great times working with, we did a collaboration with Two Share Brewing in
Nice.
Manchester. Great people, another family-run brewery. And we did a dark saison, like a heavy dark
Ooh.
saison
Oh, shit.
called
Delish.
Camp Chesterton. It was great. It was
That's
like
fun.
a overly ornate script on a very clean white label, and it was
Oh my
just a
God, you guys
combination
should.
of
Can you
Manchester.
do another one like that's Ham Vegas?
Yes.
So that's really trashy.
Done.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was a fun one. We've done a collaboration with our friends next door at WIM called Waddle, WATL, which was Walk Across the Lot, and that was a big Belgian double style.
Yes.
Which came out a couple winters ago.
Do you mean stumble across the lot?
Yes, that's the idea.
Or waddle.
Yeah. We participated in the brewery collective, that throwback before COVID.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, definitely open, for more of that. I mean, I think that it's in our nature to, as Dave has spoken to, like be collaborative and community focused. So looking forward to getting out and doing that more soon.
Yeah, we also did one with Great Rhythm.
Cool.
Nice.
Earlier this year.
Yeah, it's talking about the most recent one. I talked about the one 2 years ago.
That's all right.
Thanks, Dave. This is why he's here.
Do you find like collaborations are good for like brewery ethos? Like, you get to see how other breweries do it, especially just being the lead brewer here, the only brewer here. Like, you get to see how other breweries are doing it. What are your takeaways always from, the few collaborations that you've done?
So the Great Rhythm one, we only brewed here. So I didn't have the chance to work on their system or anything, but it's just it's great to see other perspectives and the knowledge that people have, and the collaborative effort kind of just brings out more opportunities to learn, and it's always fascinating how different brewers can be. And I'm a home brewer turned brewer, so I have a lot, still learning a lot. But it's really cool to see that and just kind of perk up and be like, oh, that's how you do that. Okay. And it's like a sharing of information. And that's just another beautiful thing about this industry is people are eager to share and help each other, and because it's that mentality of like, if we make better beer all together, especially New Hampshire, it's like, it's just better for the rest. It's the rising tide element, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Kind of curious, like, going back a little bit, you brewed 90 beers, right? Or about.
Roughly, yeah.
Right, roughly. What's kind of like the craziest or most out there or most rare, uncommon, beer that you've brewed?
Octopus beer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, it's an octave. Yeah.
Squid ink. Yeah.
So that's a good question.
If you remember them all, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't really, honestly, but we did a beer with like a blend of hops, yeasts, and different malts, and it was one of the strangest things because I feel like some people like absolutely loved it and they wanted it all the time. They want me to make it again, but I did not enjoy it. It was a blend of different yeasts that had no business being blended. And I just kind of, I'm like, I've put that one in the,
Was that like the yard sale, like just whatever you had in the fridge, just kind of threw it in there? Or
a little bit, not totally, like it was planned to some extent.
Okay.
But it wasn't like the kitchen sink beer, but it came out tasting like the kitchen sink beer, in my opinion.
But everyone else loved it.
Yeah, some people really liked it. It was blended 4 yeasts and 4 hops and 4 malts, and
that's wild.
I even tried to blend. I tried to put 4 anywhere I could into it for some reason.
Yeah.
I was in a weird mindset. I don't know. Maybe Dave has
it was a weird day.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
That was an early one.
Probably a couple of years ago.
Cool.
Yeah. How important is social media for a brewery?
I mean, I'd say it's at least fairly important, if not very important. I mean, to have that presence there. I think people, even when they're not in your tap room, need to feel somewhat connected to you. They want to know what's going on at the brewery, even if it's fairly mundane, just to have that familiarity.
Yeah. How many people that have followed you on Instagram that have not come to the brewery come here and be like, holy shit, you make this place seem bigger than it actually is. Like, I followed you guys for a while before I came in here. I was like, holy shit. Not that this place is small. And that's not like to talk shit about you guys. It's just like, you guys do a good job of like perception with this brewery. And it lives up to the quote unquote hype. I hate that word hype, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. I mean, Ashley is also doubling as our primary, photographer for our social media lately.
She knows her things,
right?
Yeah.
She knows how to take a shot.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, she's doing a great job. And yeah, I think we're just trying to find all the angles here that people might be interested in, whether it's a brew day or an event going on, just highlighting a new beer, whatever it is. We try our best to keep up with all of that. Let people know.
Yeah. Do you find that this area wants to have a variety of beers, or do you find yourselves people still coming in and being like, I want Bud Light? Like, what's your Bud Light option?
Oh yeah. I think that generally, and I can't speak to other breweries, but for us, I think most people come in with an open mind and ready to try stuff. I honestly would have thought more of the opposite would happen. And a lot of that has to do with like demographic and, obviously like the perception of what your brewery stands for and all that. But no, I mean, I think most people are at least willing to give it a try. And a lot of that is having the staff that can kind of talk people into trying something instead of being like, well, we don't have that here. Yeah. Goodbye. Like, let's give them a try. Like try a couple beers, see if you like it. Yeah. If not, no worries, no hard feelings. But
so beer knowledge for the staff is huge.
Yeah, I think beer knowledge or just having the wherewithal to try to bring people into the fold a little bit.
Yeah.
Salesmanship.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
I also noticed that you have a cask over there.
Ah, yes.
A beer engine, if you will.
Yes.
How often is that running?
Oh, it's been an odyssey.
Maybe I shouldn't bring that up. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you did because it's a reminder. I think I get a note like every 2 weeks. There's a note on the board when I come in on a Monday, and it's like so and so wants to know when the cask is coming back.
Yes.
And I love it. I love cask beer, and I think that the people that have experienced it here have really enjoyed it.
Cool.
It's something that I definitely aim to do more this winter.
Yeah.
It got a little crazy with like our canning line and just trying to hit production.
For
and,
sure.
It's just one more like job
one more thing to do.
to worry about, and it's not that it's terribly difficult, but it is time consuming to clean firkins and and to dose properly and all that. So I love the process. So yeah, long story short, we'll hopefully get some more going in the fall and winter. We did have some IPAs that we dry hop, so we did like an IPA on there, and then we also did more traditional like English bitter. We make a bitter called Golden Mile, which is a not so subtle reference to a great movie called The World's End, which is about friends who go on a pub crawl in England.
Yes.
From the same people that brought you Hot Fuzz, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. If you're listening, I'll be in your movie.
They're huge fans of the podcast. So
For sure.
They'll hit you up.
Good, I'm sure. But yeah, that Golden Mile we did in a traditional like firkin condition and had it on. But yeah.
Awesome.
Where's the weirdest place you've seen your merch in the wild?
That's a good question.
Like people don't say, like, think it's a good question. What they're trying to say is, like, it's a difficult question. I don't know the answer to that.
I wish we had a good answer, but I have seen it out in the wild. I mean, not in any unusual places.
Yeah, like Target last week. That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't go out anymore, so I see people. So I can't speak to that. I mean, it's funny though, because I feel like just seeing. I mean, it's funny that you would say Target, because like if I saw someone wearing my hat, like our hat at Target, I would be very excited. You know, I'm just like,
that's awesome.
I'm still at that level.
That's great.
You know what
That's
I mean?
great.
Like if I see someone going out to eat, and I'm like a few towns over, and I see it, I'm like, that's great. Good for us.
We're
like,
famous.
We're still at the
making
stage
it.
where we'll tell each other if we experience something.
Text, hey,
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned distribution. You guys are doing small can runs around the state, correct? Or what's going on with your distribution?
Yeah, so we are currently distributed in Massachusetts.
Okay.
With Coastal Craft.
Cool.
All the way down to Martha's Vineyard, I think.
Nice.
And we in New Hampshire, we are doing self-distribution in our immediate area, and we are distributed with Amoskeag outside of our immediate area.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, and that the Amoskeag is the most recent partnership that we've done, and we still have a ways to go, kind of adjusting our production and packaging to meet the need. But and as you guys know, we're kind of small here, but we're working on getting more out there. But they've already done a great job to spread it around in Mass as well.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
do you find yourself with now opening up tank space potentially and growing a little bit that you might have to stick to some core brands? Do you have like a core brand beer for the brewery?
Yeah. So part of the design was like we didn't really want to pigeonhole ourselves into making like a flagship. It just never really resonated with Dave and I to just have like one beer that we were known for.
Yeah.
And
Must suck brewing that over and over and over again, right? Like,
I guess maybe in a selfish way, I didn't want to do that.
Yes.
I know that it's unrealistic in the long term, but we just always felt like we could have like a portfolio of like regulars that we would make. And I think if anything, those distro partnerships have kind of created that,
Yeah.
which is, I'm sure, what you were alluding to. But
Yes.
but we're going to be making our pilot episode,
Cool.
double IPA, quite a bit more, and our Leshy IPA, which is more of a West Coast style.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love the
And
Leshy.
thank you. Have fun. It's probably my favorite beer.
Best name too.
Sorry to steal a potential question.
No.
Jeez.
That's not. No.
Yeah.
Stealing my thunder.
I'm gonna ask what your favorite kid is. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, those two are going to kind of be the starts of our funneling into more of a core program.
Yeah.
Because we think they have legs, and I think they're great beers, and I'm still tweaking them in their own ways, very little ways,
Yeah.
but
Cool.
I think our listeners should know this because I found it awesome. Is you guys took an ambitious step with your fest beer this year, and you used wet hops for your fest beer.
That's awesome.
I thought
That's
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the thought process into that and the crazy risk of the dice you took? Yeah, with that one. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It worked, by the way. I just want everyone.
Yeah,
to know
no,
it worked.
definitely.
yeah, it was partly because I was willing to roll the dice like that, and partly because I just kind of needed to get something into a tank. But it's really tough to plan because we're a small team, and I'm like, I got to get a beer into the tank. I don't know when I'm picking up these wet hops. I need to make fest beer. 'Cause
Yep.
it's definitely one
You
of
have
our
to.
sought after
Yeah.
beers this time of the season.
Yeah.
And I just was like, all right, I've got a couple of days of wiggle room. It's going to happen. So we actually used hops from the hop yard in Gorham.
Cool.
And we also used local hops from down the road in Brentwood.
Oh,
Cool.
nice.
Regular of
Nice.
ours grows them on his farm.
Yeah.
Wicked Hop Farm.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we'd used about 80% hop yard and 20% his Magnum hops, and I used Cascade, believe it or not. So there's
gosh.
a wet hopped Cascade fest beer available at the tap room, and it's great. I was worried about it, but it's not over the top citrusy or anything.
No.
like
Not
you
at all.
expect.
No, it's
well
good.
balanced.
It's
Yeah.
very nicely pleasant
Yeah.
citrus underlying in there.
So no promises for next year that it will be wet hopped.
No promises. You might get the 2022 version will be different than the
Yeah,
2021.
yeah.
And we have done that in the past. Like our first year was a very classic fest beer with actual noble hops. Last year we did one called Big Fest, which was 6.8%. And I was just like, let's
'Cause
push the
why
envelope.
not?
Yeah, 'cause the world is burning. So,
Yeah.
and then this year it's like, oh, wet hops happen to land here. Like let's go for
That's
it. And
awesome.
I think we do that a fair amount with things like we don't feel restricted. Like we have to make the same version. Like we've done
That's cool.
Citrellus Watermelon IPA, for example, has been a staple for 3 summers. And the first time it was more of like a West Coast style, and then I did like a New England style IPA, and that kind of thing. So we're open to kind of tweaking things in small ways, just to try to get people to say, oh, I liked this version. I can't wait to try this next version
one.
that's still
Yeah.
that beer, but it's a little different.
So how often do you brew a beer where you just change one small thing instead of making it to something completely different?
Oh yeah, I think on the spectrum, it's definitely a lot more beers with slight changes than beers that I totally twist around.
Yeah.
Not getting too microscopic, but
You can.
try to.
People love it. People fucking love it.
I try to change, water profiles that, because I have a vision in my head of what I want out of a beer, and most of the time I don't quite hit it, and I try it. If I try it again, I'm thinking of ways that it would fit that vision a little bit better. And it's not easy because there's so many moving parts in brewing a beer, but I do my best to improve them. I think we've brewed the Leshy probably 10 times, and it's probably one of our most selling beers in general. And I'm still not 100% happy with it. I'm getting close. I'm like 96% there. Before I'm just like, this beer can't get any better. Not because it's like the best beer in the world, but because you can't do anything more to a beer at a certain point. Before it's just like, that's all it had.
That's all.
That's all it could do.
I'll just say I think it's pretty rare when Ben is actually 100% satisfied with any beer that he's ever brewed before.
That's a good thing, though. I guess in that same vein, what's the most important ingredient in beer for you?
I'm a big fan of malt, and I know that that's not a extremely popular.
I don't think we've ever heard that answer.
Yeah.
So good job.
And that's more of that's a selfish answer because I just love like the brewing process and being able to use all these different malts that maltsters, they go through so much to create this incredible profile. The process is just so fine tuned. It's got history, and it like the aroma and the flavor of different malts to me, it's just like mind blowing how good they are. And I've always been a fan of that, but you don't really get an opportunity to use a lot of them these days. So this is my favorite time of year because I'm like, oh, I can use, 4 or 5 malts that I never brew, not making a Scotch heavy in the middle of summer.
Nice.
Although I could, I just don't think it'd be that popular, but
Right.
It might. You never know.
yeah. What about you, Dave?
Well, I was actually going to say malt too, and that's just because thinking back to our homebrew days, 7 years ago, I remember, how finely tuned your malt bills would be for our beers that I was going to pick up, and always, even then you were very in the weeds with it. So I always, that always stuck with me. But I guess I would also say the yeast. I definitely have a thing for like the various like interesting flavors that yeast provides.
For sure.
It just can do so much, depending on the style that you're brewing. So definitely appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's definitely been like kind of the frontier for me as a brewer has been the yeast and just navigating different profiles and effects that yeast have. And I think it's all too easy to just kind of sweep over and be like, oh, you're brewing this beer, use this style,
Right.
use this strain. And I've been doing quite a bit of blending and just like discovery of new stuff and trying to get a little bit more adventurous and recognizing the profile that yeast provides goes beyond. Hops are obviously king, in our current state, and I love hops.
Yeah.
But just blending those yeast can make a beer completely different. And that's like I said, something I've been learning about a lot more. So
Very cool.
Do you have any idea what's the next New England style IPA?
yeah, actually, I'm brewing that.
No.
Oh, you're saying the next.
Yeah, what's the next
big
style?
thing.
What's the
Yeah,
next big
yeah.
style?
Oh man. Seltzer.
Do you guys brew seltzer? Or
I wish
make-
we did. We don't currently.
It's just because of tank space.
Yeah, our current license doesn't allow for it. As a Nano Plus in the state, we can't make it, but there are changing laws that are helping smaller breweries potentially do that. And I don't personally have any quandaries with it. I think it's a great beverage, and I think that some people are doing some really creative things with it. But
Agreed.
yeah. The next big style. I wish I could predict such things.
Don't we all?
Right.
It's a tough question. I don't know. Maybe Dave has a thought.
Nope. I have no idea.
All right, what would you want it to be?
Bring back the Kolsch
Ooh,
Yeah.
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 all the time, every
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Not just because I heard you say that earlier, but because I actually love.
I love Kolsch.
Kolsch is great.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of made a little bit of a resurgence.
I think
but
lagers in general have kind of made a bit of a surge lately.
I think it's brewery driven.
Yeah,
It's
it is. It
it's 'cause
totally
we're
is.
in that place. You know?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Bring
too.
on the,
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
on the pilsners and the Kolsch and the lagers.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best time of the season. You're getting so many
We'll
good
keep
beers.
pushing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we want our listeners to come to Tilton Brothers. So where are you physically located, and where can we find you on social media?
So we are at 845 Lafayette Road in Hampton. We are in a plaza next to the Community Oven Pizzeria. You'll find us in that back corner there. Currently, and these hours might change depending on when this is released.
Right,
but
right.
Check their social media.
We are
Yeah.
open, Thursday through Sunday. And check our social media, Tilton Brothers Brewing on Instagram. Find us on Facebook, all that, and you'll get all the right info.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for doing this today. We really appreciate it. I appreciate what all you're doing here at the brewery. You're making a space larger than it should be. I mean, all honesty, it's like you have a nice space, but what you're doing and what you're putting out food-wise, beer-wise, and community-wise is phenomenal. So continue doing what you're doing because it's working.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. And thank you all for coming in today. It's really
Anytime.
been nice
It's been fun.
hanging
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Well,
I want to ask the last question.
Go for it,
Ryan's
Ryan.
gonna ask the last
You got
question.
it. You got it.
He's been thinking about it the whole time.
No, it's just my question.
This question.
What would you like to learn more about?
What would I like to learn more about?
You can't say malt. No, I'm just kidding.
let me go. Yeah. Honestly, I would like to learn more about yeast, and I'm not just recycling what I was talking about earlier. I like I've said before, I'm not out of a chemistry or a bio background. It fascinates me. I mean, I certainly know enough to get by and to experiment, but I have a deep appreciation for like the labs that are creating these amazing strains, and they're blending and DNA splicing and all this stuff, and I've always been fascinated by that. So if I had a lab that was more attuned for that kind of experimentation, that would be number one. Just
You don't have to take the yeast from the bottom of the bottle.
yeah, I'm not doing the old the swirl and save.
Right. And Dave?
I guess, I mean, I just miss being on the production side of things. So, if I ever had the opportunity, it'd be cool to get back in the brew house, alongside Ben and kind of pick up where I left off and go from there.
Nice.
Well, thanks again. For all our listeners, please make your way out to Tilton Brothers in Hampton, New Hampshire. Obviously, you have smartphones, so just Google it and you'll get there. Us giving the address is probably no good, but
still.
yeah. So let us know what you think in our comments below in this episode. And yeah, we will see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.